Okay, good morning everyone, especially to you Ma'am Almera. Good morning ma'am. So this morning I will discuss the topic about the features of human language by Hackett. So a lot of scholars have defined the characteristics of human language. So Charles Hackett has created a checklist for language. It is like a set of ingredients that makes up all human language. So these are the design features incorporating the amazing similarities that languages all over the world display together. Okay, first we have the vocal auditory system. So human language occurs as a vocal type of communication which is perceived by hearing. So it means that sounds emitted from the mouth and perceived by the auditory system. So a speaker produces language by making sounds with the mouth and the listener perceives that language by hearing it with the ears. So an example situation of these features in human language can be a conversation between two people. So they use their vocal cords to produce sounds and these sounds are perceived by the auditory system of the listener. Next, we have broadcast transmission and directional reception. So human language signals when sent can be perceived in unlimited directions, though sent in all directions. So this means that just like when a person stands in the middle of a room, he can be heard by everyone, assuming that he is speaking loudly enough. So in other words, the sound perpetuates as waveforms that expand from the mouth in all directions, and the listeners hears those sounds as coming from particular direction. So an example situation of broadcast transmission and directional reception in human language can be a public announcement or a speech. Imagine a politician addressing a large crowd in a stadium. The politician's voice is projected through speaking or broadcasting the message to the entire audience. However, the listeners selectively receive the information by focusing their attention on the speaker, filtering out other sound and distraction. Next, we have rapid fading or transitoriness. So, human language signal does not persist over time. So, it means that speech waveforms fade rapidly and cannot be heard after they fade. So, it is impossible to say hello and have someone hear it an hour later. It may be possible when audio recorded, video recording, or writing the message is done. So, an example situation of rapid fading or transitoriness in human language can be a casual conversation between friends in a noisy place. So, due to the ambient noise and the transient nature of spoken language, the words and sentences spoken quickly fade away. So, making it difficult to recall the exact details of the conversation after a short period of time. So, in this feature, a listener can only receive or hear specific auditory information at the same time it is spoken. Next, we have interchangeability. So, the speaker can send and receive the same language signal. So, it refers to the ability of individuals who share common language to both produce and comprehend language. So, it highlights the bidirectional nature of communication where individuals can interchangeably switch roles between being a speaker and a listener. So, for example, two people are conversing in English language. Both of them have the ability to understand and respond each other's statements. So, they can easily switch roles with one person speaking and the other is listening and vice versa. So, another example situation of this feature can be a multilingual family gathering where different family members speak different language fluently. They can switch between languages based on their convenience, personal preferences, or the language proficiency of the person they are communicating with. So for instance, a family member speaking English might effortlessly switch to Spanish when conversing with another family member who speaking Spanish prefers speaking Spanish. So, this ability to interchangeably use multiple languages is a characteristic feature of human language. Next, we have total feedback. So, speakers can monitor themselves while they speak. So, this differs from some other simple communication, such traffic signals, which cannot monitor its own functions. So in this picture, the speakers has the ability to hear themselves while they speak. Through this, they are able to monitor their speech production and internalize what they are producing through language. So in a conversation between two individuals, total feedback refers to the ability of both participants to receive immediate responses and adjust their communication accordingly. So for instance, if person A asks person B a question and person B gives the confused look, so si person A can infer that their message was either misunderstood or unclear and can provide further clarification. Next is specialization. So, human language sounds are specialized for communication. So, meaning that it serves a specific purpose and is distinct from other forms of communication. So, an example of specialization is the use of sign language by the deaf community. So, sign language have their own grammatical rules, vocabulary, and syntax, making them specialized and distinct from spoken language. Next is semanticity. So this means that for every signal, there is a corresponding meaning. So there is a fixed relationship between a signal and a meaning. So this means that specific signals can be matched with specific meanings. So this is a fundamental aspects of all communication systems. For example, in French, the word cell means a white crystalline substance consisting of sodium and chlorine atoms. So the same substance is matched with the English word salt. So anyone speaker of this language will recognize the signal cell or salt to refer the substance sodium chloride. Next is arbitrariness. So there is no necessary connection between the form of the signal and the things being referred to. So means there is no relationship between a signal and its meaning. That is, the signal is related to meaning by convention but has no inherent relationship with the meaning. So for example, something as large as whale can be referred to by a very short word. And sometimes we ask why we assign bird to refer to small flying animals. It's because human language is arbitrary, meaning there is no necessary connection to the form and the things assigned to or being referred to. Next is discreteness. So the basic speech units can be categorized. So there are no gradual continuous shading from one sound to another in the linguistic system. So language can be said to be built up from discrete units, example phonemes in human language. For example, a speaker will perceive a sound as either a p or a b, but not as blend, even if physically it falls somewhere between the two sounds. Next is displacement. So, speakers can talk about things that are not present in their immediate environment, such as past or future. So, it also refers to the ability to communicate about things that are not present in space or time. So, for example, humans can talk about past events, future plans, or even imaginary scenarios. So, this feature allows for abstract and hypothetical discussions which are limited to immediate surroundings. Next is productivity. So, we can create never-before-heard utterances. So, it is also the human's ability to create and understand an infinite number of new messages using a finite set of linguistic elements through the combination of words, grammar, and syntax. So speakers can produce and comprehend novel sentences. So for example, a poet creating new poem combining words, phrases, and structures in unique and creative ways. So, productivity enables communication about countless topics and situations. Next is traditional transmission. So learning language requires effort because human language is not inborn. So it also refers to the fact that human language is passed down from one generation to another through social interaction and cultural practices. So it involves the learning language from parents, caregivers, and the members of community rather than being genetically inherited. So an example of traditional transmission can be seen in a child learning to speak their native language by imitating the speech sounds, words, and grammatical structures used by parents and other members of their community. And last is the duality of patterning. So the discrete part of language can be combined in a systematic way to create new forms. So it also refers to the two levels of organization in human language, the meaningless elements, phonemes, and their combination to form meaningful units, morphemes, words, and sentences. So, for example, in English, the phonemes b, a, and t are meaningless by themselves, but when combined in different ways, they can form meaningful words like bat and tab. Hackett believed that all communication systems, animals and communications alike, and share many of these features, but only human language contains all of these 13 design features of human language. And that's all. Thank you for listening.